I gotta tell you, this is as good as I think anybody's gonna feel after a 4-3 start in my entire life. Audio courtesy of Guards TV. Audio courtesy of Good Times. Audio courtesy of a fly ball that I just thought was just gonna be a fly ball. Ended up carrying and carrying and carrying and carrying out. Good morning. Spencer German, in for Tone. Hello.
Morning, Ken.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
I'm as excited as I think I'm ever going to be after 7 games.
I mean, a lot of it's about who they played, right? You open the season on the road. Seattle, one of the best teams in the AL. The Dodgers, the best team in baseball, defending champs.
What was the year I was a kid? You were not probably born yet. They started off 11-1. They started off with a West Coast trip. This has got to be 2001, 2002, somewhere in there. They started off with a West Coast. No, because it was after 2001 because that was the last gasp of that era of Guardians baseball or of Indians baseball. So they started off 11-1 and then 15-2, and things just hit the skids. And everybody was excited then. And I'm 4-3. You're playing the defending world champions, the defending back-to-back world champions. You're playing another division winner in the Seattle Mariners, and you go 4-3 on the road trip. You got the split, then you get the series win. I'm about as happy as anybody can be right now. I'm about as happy as anybody could be. This is a great feeling coming back to Cleveland, taking on the Cubs tomorrow, opening day. Underline opening day because it's our opening day. Don't give a damn. Whatever. I'm going to call it opening day here, and I'm going to call it opening day on Fox 8. Don't give a damn. I don't care. Send all your corrections all you want. Guardians are 4-3. It's a great start to the season.
I agree. Listen, we all know the score of baseball. It's 162 games.
I'm glad somebody said
it. There's going to be ebbs and flows to it emotionally. There's going to be moments. Last year, in June, they went on the hot streak and sort of turned their season around. Of course, that's going to happen.
That was later. Owen knows.
Yeah.
Owen was the one
the All-Star break.
Was June when they actually had the win streak?
No.
June was when they struggled, and then they had the win streak.
Yes.
That's what
Spencer, you're he is the one guy in Cleveland
Spencer,
media.
I'm not concerned with the ebbs and flows. I'm concerned with the Jimmies and Joes. And Gavin Williams looks like the guy that Tanner Bybee can be the number one the opening day starter guy. And that's fine. He probably has earned that and deserves it. But dude, Gavin Williams is the ace.
He was awesome last night.
And he's been awesome since that win streak stuff started.
Yeah.
I mean, Gavin Williams has consistently come out. He had 10 strikeouts last night. He was throwing 95 in the 6th inning last
Well, how many did he walk against Seattle? Was it 6 or 5? And I know the weather was different. Okay, I understand. I'm king of saying the weather and all that other crap, which is obvious. I'm king of the obvious. God, I think you're right. I think he's the real number
guy
one.
I feel most confident that I'm hey, we need a win today. Put Gavin Williams out there.
Is it too early for Messick? Too early to say Messick?
I'm going to say that he's a rookie.
I know, but I love that kid.
He gave a great interview yesterday.
Man. Yes, he did.
His interview was great.
Yes, he did. You saw that too?
Yeah, but I stayed up for the whole. You give me an 8:00 start after it's been 10-10 for 6 games.
Yeah.
I'm staying up for the whole thing.
I was 8:20, a reasonable start. My God.
The only other one we had was Sunday Night Baseball, and it was horrible for the Guardians. They played horribly in it. It was, a getaway essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. If you didn't stay up for it, you missed something last night. It was a great game.
So when he walked Ohtani to start things off, I go, okay, we're gonna have more of this stuff. And I just was all right, let's labor through it. Maybe they're all slow starters. I didn't see him striking out 10 on the night and going 7. That was outstanding.
They had great defense behind him. Arias played great defense. You already said it. Arias got that one up in the air, ended up lofting out in center field.
Well, he is. I'm glad you brought him up because he is probably the most hot and cold player that I've seen in years.
He's going to hit that wall at some point, and it's going to go down, and he'll get back. And I just hope it isn't those first 2 or 3 games against the Cubs because people are going to kill him for it, and he probably will deserve it. But he's going to get cold at some point.
And he tries to do the challenge. And there's 2 guys right now I trust to do a challenge. Stephen Kwan, even though he's lost him, and Jose. Obviously,
right.
Jose's number one, and then I have to ask you a question about the Guardians. In fact, I have to ask you, Spencer, a question about all three teams. How many children do you have, Spencer?
Just one.
You have one.
So right now, that is my favorite.
Owen has 6. I got 3.
You got a favorite, Owen?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we all do. Eli's my favorite. We all love our children. You don't always like them all at the same time. There's times where they make you upset. That's okay. You love all three teams in Cleveland. Do people like the Guardians the most right now? It's got to be I think it's an easy yes. I think it's an easy yes. I have to ask the question.
I think it's an easy yes as well.
You're really thinking about it, aren't you?
Well, because
you don't have any other kids, you're not going to upset them.
I don't think the Browns. Obviously, the Browns. I think everyone's just mad at the Browns right now. The Cavs, in lieu of the conversation we just had.
I don't think everybody's mad at the Browns right now. I think there's some people, as the offseason starts to go back up towards the draft, there are some people starting to, even myself, I was on a podcast on Saturday, and I started to go, if you get Carnell Tate, and you did, maybe you can get, like, you start to talk yourself into it. We're at that point where now we're going back up the ladder here. Cavs, it seems that me and Lime are the only people who like him.
Isn't there a universal anger, though, with the Browns just because of years and years of bad decisions and the Deshaun thing? Like, isn't it kind of that? So I think there's kind of always this constant.
There's also for some people just
hanging over then.
Blah. Like they just there they are, and here we go with all this.
I think in lieu of the conversation we had about the Cavs, people are obviously upset with the Cavs and some of the bad habits and some of the things as the playoffs are looming that just haven't necessarily gotten corrected. And with the Guardians, it's the season just started. There's a lot of good juju opening days tomorrow. So I think it's certainly fair to say. I've always thought this, Ken, and maybe you feel differently. The Guardians kind of feel like the palate cleanser in town because they're always like the Browns have had the ineptitude over the years and they've done things wrong and there's a lot of losing in there. And yeah, the fun seasons, the good seasons, man, that is like all-time high stuff for Cleveland fans. Like they love when the Browns. We know this town loves when the Browns are good. And there's only been it's been few and far between.
I was going to say it happens so rarely. I really don't know how to act when they're good.
It's been few and far between, but when they're good, it's like things are good. But when they're bad, it's just misery. People are angry. It's then you have the Cavs, who at a time were going to the finals every year, and that was stressful in its own right. And you had LeBron. And it was fun to enjoy that. It was the championship, everything that kind of transpired with it. It was obviously incredible. But the Cavs also, I think at that time, like it was a stressful watch. I think the Guardians kind of serve as the happy medium where you know what you're getting every year. They're going to be in the playoff conversation every year. Yeah, they BS around with a lot of the minutia of building a roster and service time manipulation, and they don't call guys up early enough, and they try to play all these games, and they don't spend a lot of money, and people get mad about that. But guess what? Every year in September and October, you're going to know that your team is in that conversation, in that mix, and you know that you can always kind of count on them to at least be there and be a team that you can be excited about. Does that sound like a good description?
I think in so many ways, yes. 216-474-0092. I mean, are the Guardians the most liked team in Cleveland right now? I'd have to say, I don't know if it's easy, but I think it's a yes. I think there's maybe some people waking up to baseball right now. When you start on the West Coast, I've given all those reasons for a million times over, but when you beat the Dodgers 2 out of 3 games and you do well against Yoshi Yamamoto, when you do well against him in general, I think it does give you a little bit because there are games that we look a little bit different at. And I think there are people who don't want to get their hopes up. They get very cynical about him a time or two. And we'll get calls in the doldrums, and it's happened year after year after year, where you beat the brakes off the American League Central, but if you lose a series to the Yankees, quote, this is why you're not taken seriously. The Red Sox in the past were that type of team. The Dodgers are that type of team where they are a measuring stick. It's an early season measuring stick. And I would say to a person, had they lost 2 out of 3 to the Dodgers and the Guardians are doing really well later on in the season, that I go, it's early in the year. Yeah, I can make a lot of things work the way I want them to because it's a long baseball season. But it's still one of these things now that I get the highlight going, all right, 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers. We'll see what they do for the rest of the year. I mean, if they finish with 70 wins this year, which they're not gonna, but if they finish with 70 wins this year, you obviously say it was fool's gold, whatever, that's baseball. baseball, but I think you're looking for little things to make you feel better. It's at a rookie, or to make you feel more confident that this year is a year that they get back to the postseason, they win a series, maybe they get to the ALCS, and then you sit there and you think, why not us? So I see young guys doing well. I see Gavin Williams obviously going 7 strong yesterday, striking out 10. It's great stuff to the point where, we're all kicking around at the beginning of the show at 6:03. Is he the real ace of this staff?
Yeah.
If you have an ace, is he really the true number one of this staff right now? Because Tanner Bybee's a fine pitcher. Not taking anything away from him. But I think that maybe we're looking more towards service time or something like that to talk about a number one, where really I look at Gavin Williams. I still think it's easy to get excited about Gavin Williams. You want to have the most confidence in him. If you've listened to anything, and I know there's been a lot of broad statements, but when we talk about the Guardians, I'm a big fan of Parker Messick. And I think that good God, I tell you, Joey Cantillo just out there battling through it and getting them in a position to win baseball games. I think that he's more underrated than what we want to give. But there's just a lot to like about him. I think the Cavs right now, I think we're at a crossroads with our emotions. The Browns, I think a lot of people are down on them. And when we're talking about a quarterback that nobody really wants to see, I think that people get even more down on them. And to the point where, you hear it in our voices. I've written down all those quarterbacks. There's a lot of stuff where I'm like, hey, I want you to do well. I want you to do well every year. But I have to be realistic about it, and I have to look at 2027, where this team, we're starting off right now. You've won 2 AL Centrals in a row. You're a team that's going to be formidable again, it looks like, here in 2026.
I also think, I don't know what to lessen it, because the fact that ownership hasn't spent money is a legitimate problem. But I also think it's not just exclusive to Cleveland, right? It's kind of a baseball problem. It's honestly,
to me, that's a July problem. That's a trade deadline problem.
It's the impetus of why we had conversations about the CBA negotiations coming up. It's not. But I because the Guardians have been so successful, it feels like that becomes more of a trivial thing in our minds. Because, and I've talked about this before. I've joked about this. As much as we hate on the Dolans for not spending money, they kind of always get the last laugh, Ken. They get to sit there in October and be like, hey, yeah, you were mad at us, but we're here again. We're right back. I get it. People want more, and they do need to spend more money. But I think you go through a whole season with the Guardians every year, and it's like, oh, well, we're going to always end up in the same place pretty much. So do we really have it that bad, all things considered? And with the other teams, there's just, I think the emotions thing with the Cavs is very spot on. We don't know how to feel, because if it doesn't go well this year, Donovan Mitchell could be on the outs. And what does that mean? The Browns obviously still trying to find a quarterback. They took the big swing with Deshaun. That didn't work out. So there's less emotion, I think, when it comes to the Guardians. It's always the same thing with the Guardians. It's you didn't spend enough money. And then we get to October and we're like, it's not as bad as we maybe thought here. But yes, at some point you hope they correct that. But I don't think it has to be to again relate to the conversation. I think that's largely why we can feel better about this team than the other teams.
Well, we're also thinking about a lot of things. There's been a lot of things that have just exhausted us with the Browns. Okay? Yeah. And it feels like there's a lot of things coming to the end. Every year we're talking about Miles possibly being traded now. There's a lot of things that are just seemingly, quote unquote, coming to an end. If the Cavs lose before they're supposed to lose, if it's a first-round exit, people are going to be losing their minds. And then we're talking about Donovan Mitchell's future. It's just like what you said. With the Guardians, there's a lot of things of what's the promise to come. Because you can be as mad as you want that they're not in on guys that they never would have been in on the first place, because they're going to – when you got Juan Soto 2 years ago getting $735 million, you're just not going to be in that conversation. It's just not going to happen. And I can be as mad as I want that they're not realistically in any of these conversations. Or I can say, well, I got Chase DeLauder coming up here looking good. I'm excited about Travis Bazzana. I'm excited about George Valera once the calf is fine, and I know he's down at AAA right now. I'll be excited about that. I'm excited about what's to come. I'm excited about the possibility, even though I'm a guy who says keep them at arm's length, because owners are not meant to be liked.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people going, hey, when this David Blitzer guy takes over, there's a possibility he's going to make a splash move. We've all admitted he's going to make a splash move. That's something to get excited about.
You and I are very much in agreement on this, Ken.
Yes.
I know you were talking about it last week a little bit, because I think it was Nick that was talking about or tweeting about it can't happen soon enough that they pass the team over to Blitzer, and I'm kind of like, we sure about that? Like what happened to the injection of money that he was going to bring into the equation when he signed on? Like I don't. Do we know for sure that he's going to run the team any differently? He's a hedge fund guy or whatever. He's not coming in. He's trying to run like a business.
The only thing I heard, I'll say this quick. To stick up for Nick a little bit, record this because I never do. We always throw each other under the bus every chance we get.
He drills on Nick every day except the day that I'm here.
Everything I've heard about Blitzer is that he'll run it the same way it's being run as long as it's running like a business. Like, he's not going to come in and start getting his hands on things and doing crazy things and stuff like that.
But that also doesn't mean he's going to spend a lot more money either. And I think that's what people think.
But if you are able to get what you want out of the players' union conversation coming up here this winter,
that's the big kicker,
then maybe that changes. And maybe he's looked at in a totally different light because of that. There's a lot of things, though, that I think give Cleveland fans a lot of hope with the Guardians, where there's a lot of scary uncertainty with the other two, I have to admit.
The Guardians have mastered, by the way, like selling hope to the fans, but the difference is generally it pays off in some way, shape, or form. Like, it's like, we're still making the playoffs with this young group of guys. The Browns try to sell hope, but it just never quite gets there. And that's why I think the point is sound on you that they're probably like the palate cleanser favorite kid of the